say give us trending news. I say they didn't concern. Any someone a trouble. I'm not many now, so you can be ewa has say. Now, Mamika will say, a give us industries or Mother Roma, and a Jumedi or Maso saying, ya only give us Mesha ba. A mobile in malaria, typhoid, jaundice, a boosting your system, and so. I feel much not to me to a mesro say, we pay give us Mesha be now and Mamma Bibia. I come Eddie and my minimum. Nije, and someone air cost for 1 nebusia for. Me the munsem e baba be some more me din e dey greet you back or papa.
Give us that tonto now. Pa.
Ona me no ka say die. Abdullahi Mega ono na state minister for territorial administration and decentralization at the Mali. And I'm no ka say do ono so e the one day amana to for say ne pa die wo bet na say amana to abeye Niger for to say dem dey Libya no so ko ma ho kwan sa e ma sa de ni si afensu ECOWAS enni na so mo bo won modern e the soldiers ekogu Niger pa ma mo kokutia Niger man no so a wo mu nyina so e do mo be shi.
Thank you very much. On behalf of our highest authorities, I have the honor of reading out Joint Communique number 001 from Burkina Faso and the Republic of Mali. The communique reads as follows. The transitional governments of Burkina Faso and Mali have learned through the press of the conclusions of the extraordinary summits of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the West African Economic and Monetary Union, WAEMU, held on July 30th, 2023, in Abuja on the political situation in Niger. The transitional governments of Burkina Faso and Mali. 1. Express their fraternal solidarity and that of the Burkinabe and Malian peoples with the brotherly people of Niger, who have responsibly decided to take their destiny into their own hands and to assume before history the fullness of their sovereignty. 2. Denounce the persistence of these regional organizations in imposing sanctions that aggravate the suffering of the people and jeopardize the spirit of Pan-Africanism. 3. Refuse to apply these illegal, illegitimate, and inhuman sanctions against the people and authorities of Niger. 4. Warned that any military intervention against Niger would be tantamount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat, 4. Warned that any military intervention against Niger would simulate a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat for the last time, 4. Warned that any military intervention against Niger would simulate a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. 5. Warned that any military intervention against Niger would lead to the withdrawal of Burkina Faso and Mali from ECOWAS, as well as the adoption of self-defense measures in support of the armed forces and people of Niger. 6. Warn of the disastrous consequences of a military intervention in Niger, which could destabilize the entire region, as NATO's unilateral intervention in Libya did, which led to the spread of terrorism in the Sahel and West Africa. The transitional governments of Burkina Faso and Mali are deeply indignant and surprised by the imbalance observed between, on the one hand, the celerity and adventurous attitude of certain West African political leaders wishing to use armed force to re-establish constitutional order in a sovereign country, and, on the other hand, the inaction, indifference, and passive complicity of these organizations and political leaders in helping states and peoples that have been victims of terrorism for a decade and abandoned to their fate. In any event, the transitional governments of Burkina Faso and Mali call on all living forces to be ready and mobilized to lend a helping hand to the people of Niger in these dark hours for Pan-Africanism. May God bless Africa and preserve Africans.
Yeah, the equi, the equi. I said, a more friend to quanto could be war, why? Kakra ye to a free, I could not soon to one, Kakra no pussy of who and I'm much ramiale. Eh, you cool. You may be so cruel done as I had the bonny papa. But Ghana soldier for you and Mundi to what him, dear, Yadam. I was for yen so yes, I'm no swear now. Says I'm no Cassadia France. Woman so I shall see almost so much share. I don't my free Niger, and say, among say Niger, dear, quality dear. Keke, money almost so not to say a yard and it or quanisa. It's France for so I prefer aeroplane at the Aquasini Niger. Woman so air show my share, dear, for no among quite Germany, the only dear call Italy, Spain, woman and so at the own plane, almost so so much share at dear free Niger.
In other global news, the recent mutiny in Niger has gripped French nationals with fear as the first flight with French and other European evacuees lands in Paris. Meanwhile, Niger has also reopened its air and land borders with 5 neighboring countries. First flight with French and other European nationals landed in Paris as the threat of violence and war looms over Niger. France had to intervene to evacuate its people after Niger blocked commercial flights, making it impossible for the people to leave the unstable nation independently. Meanwhile, France, the United States of America, Germany and Italy have troops in Niger on counter-insurgency and training missions. There has, however, been no announcement of troops being evacuated so far.
Et on estime à quelques centaines de Français, ceux qui souhaiteraient partir et qui ont exprimé clairement cette intention. Quelques centaines d'Européens aussi, puisque vous savez que la tradition entre pays européens, eh bien, c'est d'être solidaires. Et si d'autres pays européens, ce qui est possible, mettent également des moyens aériens à disposition, eh bien, on prendra, en se répartissant les choses les uns et les autres, ceux qui souhaiteraient partir.
Il y a aussi...
The coup in Niger has left France with an array of headaches, ranging from how to extract its people in the face of a worsening security situation to future French military strategy at the moment. Meanwhile, the anti-French sentiment in the West African nations previously couped Mali and Burkina Faso has resulted in a threat of war from the military heads against any attempt to intervention in reinstating the ousted government. The coup also leads to another plight. France and the European Union are one of Niger's biggest importers of uranium. Over 50% of the uranium ore extracted from Niger is used for fueling the French nuclear power plants. France derives 70% of its electricity from nuclear energy. According to the reports, the Niger's military regime has banned the export of uranium to France. But France says that it would have minimal impact as its supplies are extremely diversified. Not just France, but the EU too is concerned about its investments in the African nation. About 24% of uranium imports in the European Union comes from Niger. The EU derives about 1/4 of its electricity from nuclear energy, and half of the European Union's nuclear energy is produced just in France. Meanwhile, Spain said that it was preparing to evacuate more than 70 people by air. Italy said it would organize a repatriation flight, while Germany has urged its people to join the French evacuation flights immediately. However, the United States of America is not joining the European allies in evacuating its people from Niger for now. The White House says, citing a lack of immediate danger following a coup, the military junta overthrew Niger's elected president Mohamed Bazoum and his government last Wednesday. It was the 7th military takeover in less than 3 years in the West and Central Africa. Last Sunday, the West African regional bloc, ECOWAS, also threatened to use force to reinstate Bazoum if the soldiers did not do it within a week's time. Meanwhile, neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, also ruled by military juntas, warned that they would come to Niger's defense. They say that any outside intervention to restore the ousted government would be seen as a declaration of war.
Na yaka mafruni yaka madam pai o my Ghana musumuni pani Niger obi ana mucha wo dem Ghana fon ko ye wo enti Ghana pani fo musu dey na mo ye dia fa mo ko fa Ghana fo ndom ba na se o mo fa subonto mra because yeti ase na e Russia and Ukraine e bisi wo mo ko fa mo de mo ba enti Niger so ye ne den am sure mo ko na post ya de she me wate e nkrofo enuanu na ya akase ye kunu no ene ye ma e na e wo no e ya se mo abusia fo Mami can say give us industries so madam Roma ena wo so masia me de konkonsen ebe so mo give us mission ba e mo bi onya malaria typhoid jaundice e boost immune system wonu ma to na so ntimi ni din so a unya give us measure e bedi wa kagina mu papa ntimi so be pe bi no amamme